What's up, guys? In this video, you've clicked on it to know how I made 8 lakhs plus in 2024 and how I plan on 10xing that in 2025. Now, first things first, I'm hoping, and from what I've seen in the data, a lot of you are between the age of 18 to 25, around that range. So I'm assuming that most of you are probably in college. Sorry for the fact that the mic keeps tipping over. I don't know if you're able to notice it, but this is going to keep happening in this video. For some reason, it's not able to hook on and I've done some jugaad. But either ways, don't mind me if I'm holding on to it. But how did I do it? How did I go from there to there? So a lot of you, like I said, are college students and you're wondering, how do you do this out of college? I'm still in my fourth year. I'm entering the final semester of my fourth year. And there is a secret, right? It is quite a simple secret, but there is a secret to how you can do it. And I'll tell you about it in a second. But what I want you to know is that literally every one of you that's watching this can do it. And if you're part of the audience, which I know that is mostly Indian, you can most definitely do it. And that secret is jugaad. Guys, look, us not being able to make money and college being the reason why we can't do so is an excuse. You are going to go on to find multiple excuses like this throughout our lives if we do not put an end to it. There is going to be college, then there's going to be, career, or there's going to be like friends, family. I can go on and on about this, but there is always going to be some or the other reason. Now, for me, that blockage was there too, where I was like, you know what, I'm still in college. Like, how is that possible? I've told everybody I'll be a millionaire at 25 and all. Like, what the fuck? How will I do it? But then I started realizing that, dude, look, if you really want to do it, you will figure out a way. And fortunately, in my case, I was able to. Like, we Indians, like, jugaad is our specialty, right? So what I did was I used to play football all through first year till third year of college, and I used to go for training. It was a semi-pro club. We had practice every other day or every day of mostly, and I would obviously have to miss a lot of college and miss class hours and stuff. So because of that, like, my college knew that I was playing football. I continued with that reason. And even in my fourth year, I said that, I'm playing for a club. Like, I've got promoted to a bigger club and stuff even. So, please, like, let me, skip college. I can do it. I can get updates from the teacher about what has to be done, and I'll do it from home and stuff. So fortunately, they were like, yeah, sure. You know what? No problem, because you've done it all through. And I was like, fine. And I started going to work. Like, I'd got a job. I'd got a full-time job. And I would work from like 9 to 5-ish. And then after that, I would sit and work on college stuff and YouTube stuff and all of that. So that is the way I found jugaad. Now, if you really want to do it, I'm sure there is a way of how you can figure it out. Because let's be honest, college is not that hard, right? I can't speak for every college, but my college for sure was a piece of cake. It's still a piece of cake, right? And at this point, I don't care about the grades. So that's also something that I keep in mind, because I don't see myself working in a job as an employee, and my grades don't really matter. Even otherwise, even if you're going to work as an employee, I don't think your grades matter. But again, that's for you to decide. But that's another thing that I was like, screw it. Let's just go for it and let's go all out. Now, that's the first thing that I did to make money in 2024. But there are a few other things, right? I'm not going to be talking about the business through which I made money a lot about. I will put in points that might help you with whatever business you want to start, because I think about the business thing of like me saying that you should start a business, it's stupid, because that's subjective. You could start a business about anything. And it doesn't make sense if I'm actually suggesting you anything, because what business I chose worked for me. So you can figure out, your own problems you're trying to solve and all of that. So I've got 6 points for you that I'm going to be talking about that can really help you in 2025 to make a lot of money. And the first thing is listening carefully. Guys, you can be so surprised by the amount of difference you can make in your life when you're just a good listener. I know I'm not at all close to being a good listener, because I'm sure my girlfriend can back me up on this point. But I've just tried. I made a huge effort in 2024 to actually carefully listen to what people are talking about when I'm with them or when I'm having a conversation with them. The number of problems that you can identify in people's lives that you could solve and make a business out of is madness, like literally. So just listening carefully, listening intently with what they're saying, not looking like, the first thing about listening that I have learned this year is be like absorb the information or absorb whatever somebody's saying. Be like a sponge. If you sit like a bun, like you're not going to get enough like out of them, or you're not going to actually be able to identify things up in them. And even from a business point of view, right, like you're looking to identify problems that people have or problems that you have. So listen to yourself also, I guess. But when you identify problems that people have, you're just, like there is proof that somebody else in the world is facing something, is facing an issue. If you can solve that problem for that one person, there are so many ways you can solve that problem for multiple different people. But again, that comes down to listening. If you can actually listen carefully and identify these problems, the next thing is you learn through your work. Books and podcasts and blogs, all of these beautiful things can teach us a lot, but working, actual application can 10x all of these learnings. I know this is quite a common saying, but I can speak for myself firsthand. I have read like a lot of business books before this, a lot of marketing books before 2024, and I haven't really found like that much use in them. I've just read them and I'll be like, okay, fine, very interesting, whatever. And sometimes I wouldn't even find it interesting and I'll just keep it aside. But now that I've started my own business, every business book that I'm reading, I am getting so many ideas about things that I can do in my business. And also, I'm applying them immediately. I learned something. And like the other day, I'm reading about this book called The Lean Startup, a great book, must read. But in that, they're basically talking about testing, right? You need to create a minimal viable product, which you just put it out there in the market, you test it, you see, get feedback, you improve it, and then you actually launch your business. And that's so useful. Like we were going to start full-fledged, social media, all of that, blah, 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 and go all out. But then I realized that, dude, look, like first let's test the waters, because we have all of these assumptions, but they're not necessarily true. And I went on a little side tangent. I'm sorry for that. But basically, yeah, anything that you're doing when you're working it, if you read alongside with it, 10x the growth, because there's so much knowledge in books or even podcasts for that matter. Anybody that has more experience than you, when you can gain value from them and actually apply it in your life, the change is incremental. Now, the next thing that was very important in 2024 that happened for me is transitioning from a push to a pull. What do I mean by push pull? It's funny that Pushpa just released now, but uh, okay, that joke definitely did not land. I wish there was somebody here if I could know that I would land, but I don't think it did. But anyways, in case you did laugh, then like this video, I guess. But a push pull is basically where, so I'll give you an example in my case, right? Throughout the beginning of 2024 and probably a little bit in the later half also, I had to push myself to get up in the morning. I had to push myself to read every day. I had to push myself to listen to another podcast or something where I can gain some value or study or do anything of that sort. A lot of these growth things were things that I had to push myself for. Again, they're a little bit mentally exhausting. It's a constant battle. And I have watched a lot of these successful people talk about their origin story and how they came about and all of that. And they all say the same thing, right? Like it was obvious for us. Like we would wake up at this hour, we would just sit and work for like 10 hours, and then we would like sleep and then again sleep for 3 hours and get up and work again and all of that. And it's like, how do they do it? Like what is the drive behind it? Are they able to push themselves? Is it a battle every day? And that's when I realized in 2024 that it's not. A lot of things, when we like transition from a push to a pull, right? A pull is basically where you don't feel like you have to do something, like you have to push yourself to do something. You feel inclined to do it. How do you achieve that? It's quite simple. You do whatever you're doing for something much bigger than you. Now, I've spoken about this in my previous videos, but I felt the omnipotent presence of it in 2024 in like to another level. And I felt this with football before, right? And I think it's much easier with athletes and stuff to feel it because the amount of rewards that you get instantly. Like you score a goal, instant gratification. But with things like business and self-development, it takes a little bit of time. So transitioning from a push to pull for me in this year was crucial, because I realized that, yeah, you know what? I am doing YouTube for things that are bigger than me. I'm starting a business for like helping society and doing things better than me. I mean, bigger than me. And just transitioning from that one idea, again, 10x change. For me now, getting up in the morning is not that big of a task, because I know that I'm getting up early and I'm sitting and I'm working out, or I'm working on like my business. It's not for me. I'm trying to do something bigger than me. And there's all of these different things, right? So transitioning from a push to pull is something that can definitely be really helpful. Now, the next point is developing sales skills, like being able to talk and being able to sell yourself. I would say, if you have, from my experience of speaking to students and speaking to like my classmates and the different college students and stuff, if you have this one skill, being able to communicate, I don't know. I think according to me, it'll be like such a revolutionary skill compared to your peers. Like you'll be so much ahead of them if you can just communicate. And when I say communicate, I don't mean just talk. Like if you can actually listen. Again, the first part of communication is listening, but deliver your message in a clear and concise way. It's crazy and it's scary, even how like our generation, like so many people just struggle to talk, they just struggle to ask questions, they struggle to listen. And I think if you can develop that one skill, right, again, it unlocks sales, it unlocks all of these different skills of like marketing and all of that. But just being able to communicate in 2024 has really been something that has helped me, and I've noticed the amount of difference I'm able to achieve just by unlocking this one skill. Now, in 2024, another thing that really helped me was hyper focus. I was very focused about what I wanted to do, who I wanted to be with, who I wanted to let into my life, who I thought would help me grow, what I'd have to do for me to grow, in what direction am I heading. Just being very self aware about whatever I'm doing and always knowing exactly where I want to go. I've had this obsessive trait from a really young age, like, starting with the Rubik's Cube, and I knew that I had to solve it. I had to solve it. And it then went on to origami, and then some like art in between, and then also football for a huge like part of whatever growing up. But just having these obsessive focused drives in 1 year, like, mind you, in 2024, the highest amount of money before 2024 that I probably made was 10K at max in uh like the entire year probably. Until then, I was just living off of my parents. But in 1 year, just with 1 year of hyper focus, I was able to make like 8+ lakhs. So that's another very crucial thing that I learned in 2024. Now, that's for the most part all about 2024. And I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do in 2025 now that is going to help me 10x all of this. And it's insane. Like the plan that I've come up with, I am going to share that with you in a second. So basically, in 2025, what I plan on doing is nothing. So look, guys, the reason why I'm not going to sit here and tell you what I'm going to do in 2025 is, and say that I'm going to 10x it, is because I think it's stupid, right? A lot of people say what they're going to do, and I have seen a lot of my peers do it, and I honestly cringe when shit like that happens. I know what my goal is for myself. I know the way I want to plan, or the way I plan on getting there. I know the steps I need to take, but I'd much rather do it and then tell you about it than tell you about it before doing it. Because even from a personal standpoint, like, when I've realized, whenever I say that I'm going to do something on this past year, like in all of my content, I'll be like, yeah, I'm going to try this. I struggle to do it because I've always been the person that is like to work in the shadow, right? Like, I don't want anybody to see what I'm working on. I don't want anybody to see the growth and development that I'm making. And then boom, one day they're just like, wow, what the fuck? Like, what is this transition? How did he do it? And that comes from football, because I would literally do stuff like, I remember when we'd have practice, I would get up at like 4 o'clock in the morning, and before everybody would get up, like, we'd have the bus for practice would leave at like 5:36. I would get up and I would slowly sneak out of my room, not disturbing anybody, not waking a soul. I would go outside into the corridor. I'd put on like my practice outfit, whatever, and then I'd put on my socks, even so that my footsteps aren't too long. I mean, loud. And then I would just start practicing with the ball. I would do some dribbling, again, very like sound efficient drills. And I would do all of that, like some core, some dribbling. And then when I do that for like 3 months, suddenly like I'm playing really good on the pitch, and everybody's just like, whoa, like this guy is a prodigy. And that's really why I think that's transitioned into this phase also, where I don't like telling too much about what I'm doing. That's why I struggle with a lot of these YouTube videos, because I just want it to be a surprise one day. But like, I know at the same time, documenting it and sharing it with somebody might help somebody more than me keeping it to myself. So in 2025, I can tell you what I'm already doing. So one thing that I'm already doing right now is working with smarter people, right? It's intimidating, right? Knowing that smarter people are there around you in your circle that work with you. But at the same time, there is so much drive that you get out of it. Like, it's insane. Working with smarter people is one thing that I'm definitely doing in 2025. Another thing is business, right? Like I mentioned, beginning of the video itself, 2024 was when I started my business towards the second half. That's where the huge chunk of all of my revenue came. But I'm doing all of these different things in my business to help it grow and probably try to scale it and all of that. But I'm not going to talk about it in detail. I'll probably break it down into videos once I actually do whatever I do and if I think it's working, or even strategies and stuff, right? So if you guys want to know more about that, I already have a video. You can check it out over here about how I planned on going about my business. Few things have been tweaked to, like, for optimum output and stuff, but it's exciting. And that's the main source of where I'm planning on 10xing my business, 10xing my amount of income. Now, next thing is I even plan upping my content game. So in case you guys didn't realize, I didn't upload for a few days simply because I was reviewing 2024's videos. I was collecting data from them, and I was analyzing what worked, what did not work, what thumbnails worked, what titles worked, what descriptions worked, what sort of video structure, and all of these different things. And hopefully in 2025, I can evolve my content structure. I even plan on creating shorts, which is exciting. So I'll talk a little bit more about that in the coming videos. Now, this is something that's silly, that might sound silly, but I'm not going to do power naps anymore. So in 2024, there would be this small, like, bursts of power naps, where I would go, like, if I'm at home, then I would go to my bed, sleep for 15 minutes, come back and continue to work. I've realized with power naps, I know I'm not getting enough sleep, but I've realized with power naps, they come usually in blips. Like, they come you at around 11 o'clock is one window, and then around 4 o'clock is another window, where it's like this rock hit me. I remember the other day I was working and I was trying to, like, analyze one of my older videos, and I was literally like this, and I'm like, my hand is just like, I was writing, taking notes, obviously, and I was writing, and then I started falling asleep, and my hand is just like doing some shit, and then I wake up, and my, like, obviously I just fell down and woke up, but my page, like, there's a nice artwork. So no more power naps. Like I said, if I'm able to push through those blips, I've realized that it lasts for like around 5 to 10 minutes. Once I push through those, I'm clear and I have like all the energy in the world. So that's something I figured out for myself. So no more power naps. Now, one more very important thing is more focus on my diet. I've stayed fit. Like I clearly am, like, still quite fit. But I have, my stomach is constantly got wrecked. And I already have a weak stomach as is, but I've also eaten a lot of junk. I've eaten a lot of snacks and all that bullshit. So I want to cut all of that out, and focus on a very clean diet. Simply because I've realized also, when my stomach is messed up, then my focus is lower, I'm less productive, and all of those different things. So my diet is another thing that I really want to keep in check. And the last thing I'd probably say is money spent on traveling. Look, I am all for traveling. Like, I love the idea of traveling, going to different places, trying new food. I love food. I get very emotional when I try, like, food that, I don't know, touches my soul. But I love food. I love traveling. I love meeting new people, exploring. But at the same time, I know that at 2024, I spent a lot of money on it. And I don't know, I just feel like there are things that I could better invest my money at, in this stage of my life. So just being more wise about where I'm actually spending and who I'm planning to go with, and all of that is something that I definitely have to work on. So all in all, I think 2025 is a very exciting year. I don't know if you guys remember, but in the previous video, I mentioned about how I actually invested in a new device with all of the money that I made in 2024. I did not mention device, but you know what? Let me just show it to you guys. Probably show you the jugaad I've done also at the same time. But this is it. This is the new device, so it's recording right now, and yeah, it's an iPhone. Um, and I really needed to invest in a camera, and I want to post more short form content in different styles of content stuff. And at the same time, my old phone was quite wrecked. You know what? Let me show you my old phone. This was my old phone. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah. So I needed a new phone, and at the same time, I needed camera to create content. So I was like, you know what, best of both worlds, let's get an iPhone. So this is one of the expenses that I made. I'm going to be talking about in the next video of how I exactly afforded it and why I chose to get it. So that could be interesting. If you missed the Jugaad Max Pro, then this is it. Excuse the mess. We're actually shifting homes, so there's a lot of stuff lying around. But this is it. I don't know. There's something wrong with my tripod. It's just not attaching, because of which is sort of weird, and I had to tie it and do some little bit engineering. But yeah, so this is the new device, and hopefully I can create better content from it. And again, I obviously bought this with my own money, and I do think it's going to be a very valuable investment, an asset almost, in the amount of development it can create for me. So stick around for the next video. I'll stop recording from this phone, but iPhone footage, let's go. But stick around for the next video if you want to know about how I afforded it and why I actually chose to buy it. 2025 is an exciting year. I am looking forward to it. It's off to a good start. And yeah, again, I'm sorry for not uploading content. For those of you that do watch my videos regularly, it was like I was just analyzing, going through a lot of the videos, and also like stuff with business was a little hectic. But I'm sure we'll figure out something together. And yeah, that's about it for this video. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, then please go ahead and hit that like button. Share this to a friend that you also want to see grow in 2025, because I think growing alone is one thing, but when you can see yourself grow with your friends, that can be something interesting. So share this with your friends and subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and stick around for the next video. But until then, guys, I hope you guys have a good week and a beautiful year ahead. But that's it, and bye. I usually do this when I'm going out, but in this, I can't do that. Nice.